welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, people are saying this is the most mental transfer window of all time. Well, there was also a lot of failed transfers which didn't happen, but nobody wants to talk about those. So alright, let's just stick a nail through all of the optimism surrounding your club's transfers, Liverpool aside, and take a look at every Premier League club and find the last player your club failed to sign. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Lautaro Martinez. Yeah, according to The Athletic, Edu was trying to bring Martinez to Arsenal. Now honestly, if this is the Argentinian goalie Emiliano Martinez, you know, the one they ditched as if his limbs were made of burnt sausage, if now they were desperately trying to pay over the odds to bring him back from Villa Park, I think we'd all honestly laugh until blood came out our eyes. Honestly, you might as well have just officially rebranded the stadium as Banter Club FC. Poor old Troops would actually be preparing to brush his teeth with bleach. But actually it was Lautaro Martinez. You know, the 24-year-old striker just helped Inter Milan win Serie A. Now don't get me wrong, this guy scored 19 goals last season. I mean, he's the modern day Paulo Dybala. You know, a highly rated Argentine second striker linked with the Premier League every 6.5 minutes. But I'm sorry, how would you convince the kid to swap Champions League football for a mid-table London team coached by a guy with less tactical ability than that PE teacher who used to stare at me in the shower? I mean, at least he had a few interesting ideas about corner flags, but this was never gonna happen. By the way, lads, I'm not sure how, but just got nominated for Best in Video Small Business at the Football Content Awards. I'm gonna be in the same room as Football Daily. Oh, this is going to be sweet. So listen, if you want to slap on a vote, the link to the website is in the description below. Slap on that vote, and maybe we can pull off an upset. That would. Oh, I'd love to see the look on Hamill's face. Anyway, back into the video. Aston Villa, James Ward-Prowse. This has been an extravagant summer shopping spree at Villa Park. You know, a bit like if you give a credit card to Paris Hilton. But honestly, this must have been such a punch to the ego. They saw a £25 million bid rejected for Southampton's midfielder James Ward-Prowse. After successfully dragging Danny Ings out of Southampton, Villa fans probably thought this was a formality, expecting Ward-Prowse to go on strike, to force to remove to an exciting and massive club like Villa, right? So, seeing him instead sign a new 5-year contract, committing himself to a team who keep losing 9-0, yeah, for Villa fans, oh good Christ. I mean, Prince William's a Villa fan, right? For him, this must have been like if he was single and was getting turned down for a date by someone who'd prefer to live in a 2-bedroom council flat, sharing a mattress with their morbidly obese granddad. I mean, it's a bit embarrassing. Brentford, Jonas Wind. Yeah, apparently Brentford had a £5.6 million bid rejected for Copenhagen's second striker Jonas Wind, a Denmark international who just mashed in 40 goals in 97 matches for Copenhagen. But I'm sorry, a £5 million bid for something that could be the next Alexander Isak. You might as well have offered 3 penny for lose and half a bag of hula hoops. How did you think that was going to be enough to price him away? Although honestly, a front line of Ivan Toney and a potential goal threat like Jonas Wind, that's almost enough to make my earwax melt in my head. Brighton, Zaidu Sanusi. Oh, good old Nigerian left back Zaidu Sanusi. How delightfully hipster. Listen, this guy is 24 and replaced Alex Telles at Porto last summer. Apparently he's a half-decent left back, and Graham Potter spent all of last week sniffing around his passport. Good grief, it was all over the papers. Potter probably stopped short of breaking into his house and waiting for him under his bed. I mean, to be fair, this would have been a good signing, but they went inside Marco Corello instead. Burnley, Ross Barkley. Okay, I'm not sure how much truth there was in this, but for about 3 hours on deadline day, this would look like a possibility. Ross Barkley, the former Everton wonder kid, he's currently on £100,000 a week wages at Chelsea. Yes, £100,000 a week to employ a midfielder who looks like he eats pizza for breakfast. Last summer, Dean Smith promised, when he took Barkley on loan at Villa Park, he promised he would get him in the England Euro 2020 squad. What happened there, Dean? I mean, he probably didn't count on Barkley having hamstrings made of butter and having left his motivations stuffed in the back of a microwave in the Stamford Bridge canteen. A low move to Turf Moor. Apparently Sean Dyche showed an interest, but honestly, for Barkley, he was supposed to be Rooney Part 2 or Gaza Part 3. This guy used to play at the World Cup with the likes of Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard. I'm sure he has an ego, so he'd probably rather eat a handful of his own teeth than accept Turf Moor at this stage of his career. Chelsea, Jules Koundé. Let's be honest, if you won the Champions League and you still can't entice players from Europa League level clubs, you're going to feel a bit annoyed. I mean, to be fair, 22-year-old French centre-back Jules Koundé, he did want to move to Stamford Bridge. It's just Sevilla had to play hardball. Listen, this looked like it was going to happen. I mean, Kurt Zouma had been allowed to move to West Ham for nearly £30 million, but Sevilla kept rejecting Chelsea bids, demanding they pay the full £60 million release clause. Listen, Koundé, yes, you might be sick to your stomach right now. You were probably already scouting London flats on Gumtree. You'd probably booked yourself in for brunch at Halfords. But then why did you sign a contract with a fat release clause in it? And Chelsea shouldn't you have tried to sign this guy 2 years earlier when he was at Bordeaux? Isn't that what scouts are for? Crystal Palace, Eddie Nketiah. Yeah, I've already said this. I think odds on Edouard from Celtic is going to be a goal machine predator for Crystal Palace. But if they'd instead signed preferred target Eddie Nketiah from Arsenal, then Aussie Patrick Vieira might as well start making plans to find a Christmas job scrubbing toilets in Tesco's. Nketiah is a 22-year-old wet sponge with just 5 Premier League goals to his name. Lads, he joined Chelsea 13 years ago. I think he's had all the 5-star Premier League coaching he's ever going to get, and still mostly looks like a blunt pencil. Apparently a £20 million deal was agreed with Crystal Palace, only for the wage demands to price himself out of a move. Aussie Vieira, you're supposed to have an eye for young Arsenal talent, right? Eddie Nketiah is like Francis Jeffers crossed with an ironing board. Just a complete lack of goal-scoring impetus. Everton, Daniel Jeppesen. This is inevitable, wasn't it? Teenage midfielder Daniel Jeppesen scores the winning goal for Sheffield United at Goodison Park in May, so that was always going to trigger a bid, right? That was always going to get the club's attention. I mean, he might as well have turned up outside Bill Kenwright's house and taken a Weetabix smelling dump on his doormat. I mean, it wasn't subtle. But yeah, the Blades rejected a £10 million offer. Learning under a tactical brain like Rafa Benitez, or being stuck in the same Yorkshire prison which just made a potential England star like Ryan Brewster look like a skinny side of Berahino. I mean, at least now these two lads live in the same city. They probably get together every Wednesday night and play FIFA and cry. So yeah, right now, Jeppesen, he's probably on the verge of a teenage tantrum. In 6 weeks, you'll probably find him drinking 12 cans of Magners in a bush. Leeds Lewis O'Brien. It must be tough for Huddersfield Town to watch Leeds go from strength to strength just as they were dumped out of the Premier League. I mean, the glory days of David Wagner seem a long time ago, considering the Klopp lookalike is now in charge of young boys. Again, so was my PE teacher, and he's currently serving 16 years in Mountjoy Prison. Anyway, Leeds trying to sign Town's Player of the Year, 22-year-old midfielder Lewis O'Brien. It just sort of adds insult to injury, doesn't it? It turns out they saw an £8 million bid rejected, and apparently he's in new contract talks with the Championship club now. But lads, if I was just refused the chance to work with Marcelo Bielsa, to instead spend another season being forced to listen to his former number 2 pretend like he knows what he's doing, you know, the guy employed to hand out babes in training, then I wouldn't be signing a new contract. I'd be close to putting out my tongue with a knife and fork. Leicester Nonny Madueke. This could potentially be one of the signings of the summer. Nonny Madueke. Yeah, I know he sounds like a rare form of Pokemon, but forget the name. He was actually born in Barnet and is one day going to play for England on the wing, unless some centre-back flub crushes his knee like a can of Pepsi. But this is a 19-year-old dazzling winger who's already scored 6 goals for PSV this season. Lads, the season only started a month ago. Brendan Rodgers inquired last month. PSV very quickly slammed the door back in his face, demanding £34 million. Lads, that would make him the most expensive player PSV have ever sold in the club's history. And they've cashed to the Memphis Depay, Ruud van Nistelrooy, Arjen Robben. Look, Chris, they sold the original Ronaldo in the mid-90s. So Rodgers went and got Adama Lookman instead. Liverpool, Daniel Mallon. Did Liverpool really try to sign anyone this summer? It's like being a young 19-year-old kid on a night out, and your friends all want you to chat up a woman. Instead, you sneeze outside the ladies' toilets
and then say, "Oh well, I tried."
Did you balls? Spanky Burns, I'm looking at you. Every link in the media was so flimsy. It made Liverpool sound like they were showing about its effort as Deji in a boxing ring. The strongest links, I guess, were trying to sign Dutch forward Daniel Mallon from PSV or the Spanish midfielder Saul Niguez from Atletico Madrid. But neither interest was all that concrete. It was all just rumours. I guess maybe you could say they were pipped by Borussia Dortmund to sign Daniel Mallon, but were they really? Man City, Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, maybe the answer here should be Harry Kane, but let's not forget. Man City were offered the chance to sign Cristiano Ronaldo from Juventus. Video on that coming soon. And lads, the club did consider it. Apparently personal terms were agreed and everything. And we all know what happened next. He just went back home to Manchester United. But lads, this was close. And if it happened, would have broken the internet. Man United, Kieran Trippier. Yeah, last week Man United apparently had an £18 million bid rejected by Atletico Madrid for Kieran Trippier. Listen, I've been saying for 4 years now that Man United should be signing Trippier. He's a damn good right back, but good Christ. You recently spent £60 million in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. How do you think he feels now? This is like catching your missus spending 20 minutes rifling through Tinder before bed. This is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer publicly announcing that, yeah, he thinks Wan-Bissaka actually has a natural footballing ability of a broken teapot. Anyway, yeah, bid rejected by Atletico Madrid. Newcastle, Hamza Choudhury. Yeah, apparently Newcastle were locked in loan talks with Leicester for midfielder Hamza Choudhury on deadline day. Again, a midfielder who once broke Matt Ritchie's leg. So this would be like watching Conor McGregor going for coffee with Dustin Poirier. It wouldn't make sense. But again, despite Steve Bruce trying to sign a 40th central midfielder for the club, talk broke down because the club weren't willing to match his £70,000 a week wages. Why even bother? Norwich, Mumbai, Diagna. Listen, big Big, strong, Senegalese centre forward Mbadianga. He made an impression on loan at West Brom last season, and Norwich had a £3 million bid rejected for the former Juventus striker. Although, to be honest, saying he's a former Juventus striker, it's a bit misleading. But to be fair, Falcao's now been dumped back to Spain, so yeah, I guess Galatasaray need him after all. Southampton, Brandon Williams. Yeah, Southampton spent 18 months sniffing around Manchester United's very own version of John Flanagan. You know, the out-of-his-depth, versatile homegrown fullback, Brandon Williams. I'm not sure what happened here. Maybe his agent didn't want to subject his client to inevitable 9-0 thrashing in his resume every season because he's just wound up on loan at Norwich instead. Tottenham, Adama Traoré. Apparently Tottenham had a £30 million bid rejected for Wolves forward Adama Traoré. This is a winger who looks the part, but he has 7 goals in 106 Premier League games for Wolves. This is a man who's played 292 career games and has just 25 goals to show for it. Yes, he's strong, pacey, and difficult to stop, but clearly he's got the end product of a lump of melted ice cream. 30 million pounds! Daniel Levy spent the summer fighting for every last penny from Man City for Harry Kane, and yet he was willing to make a Middlesbrough flop, the 3rd most expensive player in the history of Tottenham Hotspur. Is that a joke? Watford, Mario Lemina. Yeah, apparently Watford were trying to sign Mario Lemina from Southampton, but they wanted him on loan. I mean, he'd have been a decent-ish signing, but the Saints chose to cash in instead, selling him to Nice for £5 million. West Ham, Nikola Milenkovic. Yeah, here we have West Ham trying to sign highly rated Serbian defender Nikola Milenkovic from Fiorentina. Apparently a £17 million fee was agreed, only for the deal to collapse due to apparently £11 million agent fees. £11 million for the agent. Who was the agent? Mino Raiola? Wolves, Ronaldo Sanchez. Imagine if in the space of a weekend, Jorge Mendes had managed to get Cristiano Ronaldo that dream move back to Old Trafford and get a Portuguese superstar like Ronaldo Sanchez to Molineux. That would probably be the best week of his life. That would be better than his honeymoon. Apparently Wolves were locked in talks with Lille over a loan deal. Now to be fair, the last time Sanchez was in the Premier League on loan, he looked like he had feet made of plastic. But no, doesn't matter, okay? He's a good player. And according to Lille, they were willing to let him go for some weird reason. They had an agreement in place with Wolves, only for him to pick up a knee injury, so obviously that scuppered the deal. I mean, come on, Wolves are not going to drag in Sanchez when he has a knee looking like a lump of shreddies. I think Raul Jimenez already racked up a pretty hefty medical bill, didn't he? Anyway, that's it, guys. Let me know, what do you think? Okay, have I missed any more? Let me know in the comments. What player did you fail to sign? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe. As always, I'll talk to you in a while.